Košutnjak Park, outside the Serbian capital, Belgrade. In May 1914, a Bosnian student, Gavrilo Princip, came here with a Browning pistol for some target practice. Princip was 19 years old. According to his instructor, he was not a very good shot.
Other students were much more confident. Whenever Princip missed the target, people standing around would laugh at him. That would drive him to tears.
Out of sight in the forest, he had a chance to get his eye in, shooting at trees. His ultimate goal was far more ambitious.
I am an adherent of the radical anarchist idea, which aims at destroying the present system through terrorism.
In 1914, Princip's wish was granted. The First World War began almost by accident. It ended just as strangely. In between, it was more destructive than any war had ever been. More British, French and Italian soldiers died in the First World War than died in the Second. It was the first genuinely global conflict, fought not just on the fields of France and Flanders, but up mountains, across deserts, at sea and in the air. The First World War shaped the 20th century. It sparked the Russian Revolution. It launched America as a world power. The fault lines from its failed peace settlement led the world to a second terrible war barely 20 years later, then to the Cold War. But the ideas the men of 1914 fought for still shape our world today. Nationalism and democracy, the rule of international law and the rights of nations. Now, after the collapse of communism, the European map resembles the one redrawn by the First World War. We live with its unresolved, bitter consequences in the Middle East and the Balkans. And it was in the Balkans that it all began, nearly 100 years ago. At the start of the 20th century, as at its close, the Balkans were the most unstable part of Europe. Here, three great empires fought for power and influence: the Austro-Hungarian, the Russian, and the Ottoman. For hundreds of years, the Ottoman Turks had the upper hand. Serbia, Bosnia, Albania were under their control. Serbia had thrown the Turks out and set herself up as an independent Slav kingdom. But right on Serbia's border was an even greater challenge to Slav nationalism.
The old Turks of the south have gone, but new enemies come from the north, more fearsome and dangerous than the old. They want to take our freedom and our language from us and crush us.
The enemy to the north was the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
That extraordinary empire, known as the Austrian-Hungarian dual monarchy, is less an empire, or a kingdom, or a state, than the personal property of the Habsburgs, whose hereditary talent for the acquisition of land is recorded on the map of Europe today.
The empire was ruled by Franz Joseph. He sat on two thrones, as Emperor of Austria and King of Hungary. By 1914, he'd been in charge for 66 years. He had spent them trying to resist change of any kind. In all the empire, only the Hungarians and Austrians had any real power. For countries like Serbia, Austria-Hungary was the prison of nations, a repressive, undemocratic state that grounds small peoples under its heel. Austria-Hungary was also a key part of European security, a multinational empire keeping the peace on the borders of the West. It contained at least 10 different nationalities, not just Austrians and Hungarians, but Czechs, Slovaks, Poles, Romanians, Italians, Croats and Bosnians. But it was also an empire in a state of constant crisis. By 1914, there'd been ethnic unrest in nearly every part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Local parliaments were suspended, troops brought in to restore order. Austria-Hungary's domestic problems gave opportunities to her enemies. Chief amongst them, Serbia. She welcomed national unrest, particularly in Croatia and Bosnia. Serbia wanted the breakup of the empire. Then she could incorporate all the Slavs within it into a South Slav superstate, Yugoslavia. Dragutin Dimitrievich was an officer in the Serbian army. He opposed any kind of friendship with Austria. Dimitrievich was also one of the founding members of the Black Hand, a secret military society that used terrorism and assassination to try and establish Yugoslavia. He is said to have sent men to murder Austro-Hungarian military leaders and cabinet ministers. He allegedly tried to kill Emperor Franz Joseph. By the spring of 1914, Gavrilo Princip was in Belgrade, talking revolution with his friends. Then they heard that Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, would visit Sarajevo in June. The plans hatched by the young Bosnians reached the ears of Dimitrievich and the Black Hand. Major Wojtankosic, also in the Black Hand, went to Dimitrievich with a question.
I've got some Bosnian youths pestering me. These kids want to pull off some great deed at any cost. They've heard that Franz Ferdinand is coming to Bosnia and have begged me to let them go there. What do you say?
Franz Ferdinand was going to Bosnia to observe the Austro-Hungarian army's maneuvers in the hills outside Sarajevo. As chief of Serbian military intelligence, Dimitrievich feared these maneuvers were a smokescreen. That what Franz Ferdinand really planned was an invasion of Serbia. Princip's plan to murder Franz Ferdinand suited him perfectly. Fine, he said. Let him go. Gavrilo Princip crossed the border from Serbia and Austria-Hungary at the Drina River. From here, he made his way to Sarajevo, where he met up with 6 others in on the plot. The Serbian Major Tankosic had supplied them with 4 pistols, 6 bombs, and suicide pills in case of capture. Franz Ferdinand chose the date of his visit badly. Sarajevo was decked in flags for the occasion, but the 28th of June was Serbian National Day, a natural focus for hatred of the Habsburgs, as the Serbian ambassador to Vienna warned.
This will cause much discontent. Some young Serb might put a live round rather than a blank in his gun and fire it. Therefore, it might be good if Archduke Franz Ferdinand were not to go to Sarajevo.
But the Austrians laughed off the ambassador's fears. On the morning of the 28th of June, Franz Ferdinand and Sophie arrived by train in Sarajevo. Despite the warning, security was light. As the procession passed the first bridge, the conspirator there threw his bomb. It bounced off the car, exploding behind and wounding 2 officers and some onlookers. Franz Ferdinand stopped to ask after the casualties, before hurrying on to the town hall. Official security was now on high alert. Gavrilo Princip gave up and turned to go home, stopping on Franz Joseph Street to buy a sandwich. Then his luck changed. Franz Ferdinand had left the town hall, but his driver took a wrong turn at the corner of Franz Joseph Street. As the royal car tried to reverse onto the main road, Princip came face to face with his target.
At that moment, I heard the crack of a pistol shot, followed swiftly by another, and saw in the same split second a man standing right in front of me being thrown to the ground by the people around him, and the shining sabre of a security guard descending on him.
A thin stream of blood spurted from His Highness's mouth onto my right cheek. The Duchess cried out, "In heaven's name, what has happened to you?" Then she slid off the seat and lay on the floor of the car. I thought she had simply fainted. Then I heard His Imperial Highness say, "Sofurl, Sofurl, don't die. Stay alive for the children." I asked him if he was in great pain. He answered me quite distinctly, "It's nothing."
Franz Ferdinand and Sophie died on the way to hospital. Their funeral was held in Vienna on the 4th of July. Oskar Potiorek, the governor of Bosnia, had already written to the foreign ministry, calling for Austria-Hungary to take revenge against Serbia.
We must take the first opportunity for a destructive blow against Serbia to give the monarchy a few decades of calm internal development. Serbia must learn to fear us again.
In life, the Crown Prince had been a champion of peaceful coexistence with Serbia. In death, he was becoming a cause for war.